So in today's video, we're going to take a look at how you can copy Djokovic's racket setup as cheaply as possible. The main difficulty with copying Djokovic's actual racket setup is finding his actual racket. So according to the most reputable sources, namely the Talk Tennis user dr_325i, but also Tennis Nerd and other forum users, Djokovic currently uses the head pro stock code PT 346.1. So this mold is of course based off his previous racket, which was also a pro stock mold, PT113B1. So that old racket seems to be based on like a TI or I radical mold, but the closest thing that's really going to be available to us is the Liquid Medical Radical MP. From my research, it does seem like the Liquid Medical Radicals are largely the same as the last two versions. They're all twin tube construction frames. They're 95 square inches. The main difference with the Liquid Metals, though, is they've got these Liquid Metal Radical ridges, which I can actually show you on this one. So yeah, they've got these ridges at kind of like doing an X pattern. I don't think they really have playability impact. It's just like marketing crap that Head was trying to pull in the early 2000s. So I've hit this racket stock a bunch of times over the past year and I absolutely love this racket. For a 95 square inch frame, this thing actually delivers quite a bit of power without even any lead tape added. I love the string pattern. It's super predictable, super dense, and it really just encourages you to rip every single ball. If this racket came out today, I think it would be a pretty big success, and I kind of wish Head still made something a little bit more like it. It is similar to my Extreme Tour, but I actually think it gives a little bit more free power, and it certainly feels more comfortable on every single shot. So it's a big shame that they don't make these today, and it's worth picking if you're not interested in copying these super heavy specs. It's worth picking up just for the memes because it's so nice and fun to hit with. I got mine on Facebook for like 80 bucks. The guy had fresh ALU power rough and a nice new leather grip installed, and the specs came in at 338 grams, a balance of about 32 centimeters with 318 swing weight. And the thing that I thought was really crazy about this find was the twist weight was super low, coming in at 11. The Tennis Warehouse twist weight database suggests that these should average at about 14, but back then I really highly doubt they were really quality controlling for twist weight, as a lot of brands still don't do it now. So that's going to be something that actually proves to be a pretty big problem for us down the road, especially since, according to Racquet Tech, he estimates Djokovic is using like a 17 plus twist weight. So we'll see if I'm even able to do that. So the differences between what he used before and what he uses now have been largely documented, extended by about 0.1 of an inch and going to an 18 by 19 string pattern rather than an 18 by 20. But for me, the real interesting racket is that first one. It's the one that we're going to be able to replicate because of that string pattern and because it's standard length. But also, that's the racket Djokovic used in his prime, going on insane winning streaks in 2011 and 2012. So that's the setup that we're going to try to mimic today. So here are the specs of Djokovic's pre-2018 racket setup. 27 inches, a static weight of 358, a balance point of 32.8, a swing weight of a whopping 370. Those are crazy numbers. Obviously, like, that's not something you're gonna find in retail specs today, but we gotta try it. We tried Nadal's setup, we gotta try Djokovic's setup. So the next thing I did was I really wanted to look at the lead placement on Djokovic's actual frames. It seems pretty consistent with his weight at 3 and 9. I looked at a bunch of different pictures. It looks like it goes from about the 6th cross down from the top all the way to the second main from the outside. I saw that in a bunch of different pictures over a bunch of different years, so that's where I started. That was about 20 centimeters or 4 grams each, going from about 3 o'clock down to almost 5 o'clock. So once I added those couple of strips on, we were at 344 grams with a swing weight of 327, and the twist weight was only bumped up by 2 points to 13, with the balance point coming in at 32.5. So I'm already kind of thinking we're going to have some problems. We don't have a ton of room in terms of how much extra lead we can add. With only 14 grams left, our twist weight is still like lower than market average, and our swing weight is like nothing special at 327. So at this point I felt like, oh god, am I in some trouble here? So I got like all the copper tape I could. Thank you so much to Katana for sending me out like a metric ton of copper tape. I had to do stacks of 4 strip each and put them at 12. This brought the static weight up to 354 grams with the swing weight at 357, and the twist weight remained about the same because the lead was just at the top, draping over the sides only a little bit, and then the balance point was 33 centimeters. At this point, like, I knew we were completely screwed. We only have 4 grams left to play with, and the balance was not right, and the swing weight's not even close yet. Then I remembered we've got a leather grip. We can replace that with a synthetic grip. So I did that, and I pushed all the weight down to the bottom of the racket to try to get the polarization of the racket to be like as extreme as possible, to try to get that balance point dialed in a little bit better. And that still didn't really work. It shifted the balance point down, which was nice a little bit, but it really didn't have a significant impact on the specs. And at this point I thought, okay, we're done. I'm just gonna go hit with it now. And I hit with it, and it was unreal. Direct tennis. If you are looking for a local stringer in your area because maybe you only have a crappy Dick's Sporting Good who just does the worst job on your frames, Direct Tennis can link you with local stringers in your area. Pickup and drop-off services can be available too, which is a service most stores really can't accommodate for, so that's really cool. They've also been absolutely amazing in supporting us at TennCom, one of our first sponsors, which tells me that they're really invested in the tennis community online and taking tennis into the 21st century, and that's really something that I admire, and that's why I wanted to partner with Direct Tennis on this. So if you could download the app and give them a try, I'd really love you show Direct Tennis a little bit of love.
Took so many years, I was waiting for the wins. I'm in debt to no one but the one who took my sins. I do it for real, it's no reason to pretend. If I do it once, I do it again. Add it up, bankroll, euro, peso, add it up.
So the playing experience with the closest I could get to this Djokovic spec was absolutely awesome. There was so much power on tap. You just relaxed and would swing at like medium speed through the ball, and it would just rip. It was absolutely cracking through the court. Even though it's an 1820, there was so much spin. It was unreal. I could see my balls just jumping off the court. It was easy for me to even like get a little bit of wrist dip. Even with that clubby spec with so much weight, I felt like something about the balance of the racket just allowed me to find my swing and find that racket leg on my forehand and put that spin on a little bit. Service returns were absolutely out of this world. Like, I can see why Djokovic is the greatest returner of all time, given how insane service returns were. I was doing a little bit of service returning with Ali, and I was just like leaping into the court, pounding balls back. Even though you'd think this racket's not very maneuverable with that 352 swing weight, it's easy to just like set it up and it punches it back, and if you hit the ball off center, the racket does not blink at all. It's such a confidence-inspiring frame, and like, I just want to play with it all the time now, honestly. Like, if this was something I could switch to, I would heavily consider it. I did try doing a bunch of backhands down the line, and I failed hitting it into the net like almost every single time. Okay, that counts. So I think that shot is really secret Djokovic magic, probably something that only he can do. But if you want a racket setup that is a complete cheat code on returns, copy this insanely high swing weight, insanely high twist weight spec, and you'll be munching returns all day long. And that's pretty much all I have to say. There's not really a happy ending to this story. Unfortunately, my copy of the Radical MP was just too depolarized to get this racket dialed in. If you have any like tricks up the trades or secrets and you have any ideas how I could get this racket closer to spec, I'd love to hear them in the comments. I'm a little bit defeated. I like to think of myself as a good customizer, and I feel like I've failed. But I still wanted to share the story with you anyway. And also I need to do my sponsorship read because we sold some sponsorship space to